balloons, bazookas, boobies, bosoms, boulders, cans, hooters, knockers, melons, honkers, jugs, rack, tatas, tits, torpedoes, guns, bust, doorknobs, coconuts, and our favorite one, the girls. Welcome to the All About Breastfeeding show, where your host, Lori, highlights mothers just like yourself and goes beyond the surface questions and digs deep so they share not only their joys and happiness in their daily breastfeeding life, but also their pain and struggles and how they worked through them.
Welcome to All About Breastfeeding, the place where the girls hang out. I am your host, Lori Jill Eisenstadt. I am an IBCLC. This is episode number 66, Babies, Bottles, and Daycare. Today we are going to continue with learning how to make the transition from a new mother who is home on maternity leave to the mom who is returning to work or to school. This information is all part of my 5-part series in which my goal is to have taken you through all the need to know information in order to make this transition as smooth as possible. In the first show, part 1, we focused on what you need to know to begin the process. We talked about how do you figure out when you should pump, how much to pump, and what to do with your milk once you've pumped. In part 2, we focused on choices. Choices in removing your milk, the differences in the pumps, why you might choose hand expression. We talk about choices in storage containers, and I also share lots of tips and tricks on how to make pumping convenient and comfortable for you. In today's show, part 3, we take an in-depth look at bottles and nipples and how to figure out which are best for your baby. We will also be spending some time talking about one very important component, your caregiver. Who will be watching your baby while you're gone and how you can share this information with them. The first thing to tackle is the bottle. The first thing I'm going to talk about is let's bust a few of the myths. Number 1, a majority of babies are just not going to drink 9-ounce bottles. So there's no reason whatsoever for you to be purchasing bottles that are 9 ounces. Buying smaller bottles will save you a lot of room and money. The second myth, there is no one best bottle or nipple for breastfeeding babies. The marketing companies sell us stories that we think sound reasonable and we buy into. Just think about this. If there truly were a bottle that most babies preferred, they would be flying off the shelves and all the other companies would go bankrupt. Number 3, there is no one best nipple for breastfeeding babies. The marketing and advertising companies, they make it seem so. They make them seem so attractive by buying into the biggest pain points that parents have, which are usually they're searching for that one bottle that will cause less air, less gas, which will equal a less fussier, colicky-like symptoms in their baby. They're searching for a bottle that is just like mom's breast, that will be more like a breast, so they will go back and forth with ease and able to control the flow like they can at the breast. And when you get a chance, you can go to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz/podcast, and you will see in the show notes different pictures of different bottles that I want you to take a look at these. And just take a look at them and circle any of them that are just like your breasts. This is silly. See what I mean? You're not going to find any that are just like your breasts. In this instance also, if there were truly one bottle that rose way above the rest, they would be flying off the shelves, and the other companies, they'd go bankrupt, right? To further showcase this insanity, that the bottle or nipple looks like mom's breast and nipple, take a look around at other mothers' breasts. Your mother, your sister, your friends. Look in magazines. Think about all the variations in bra sizes. We are not alike. Our breasts come in very different sizes and shapes, and so do our nipples. So a little common sense goes a long way here. If we come in all different sizes and shapes, how can then one bottle look just like us? My reason for bringing this up is to downplay the marketing tactics about whichever company says their bottle or their nipple is the best for all babies, and switch the focus to find the best one for your baby. You may have 5 friends who swear by one particular bottle, and this does not mean it's going to work well for your baby. And why is this anyway? Well, it's helpful for you to realize that one of the most common reasons you hear such variations from friends and family about which one is the best is because why? Let's take a minute and think about why some babies do better with one bottle or nipple over the other. Well, the answer really is because babies' mouths are different from each other. They have different shaped palates, higher palate, maybe a smaller palate. He may be more comfortable with a different nipple in his mouth. If a baby has been used to a large, soft breast and a mom with a long and stretchy nipple in his mouth, he may not like one that has a very narrow base and a very short nipple. Some babies, they might have a stronger gag reflex than the next baby, and they can't handle a nipple that extends so far. Perhaps your baby objects to the texture or the taste of the nipple. Perhaps they have been using a pacifier and would prefer one that is similar to the shape of the pacifier. You see what I'm getting at? There are many different variations of babies, their mouths or oral cavity, how they suck, as well as many different breast and nipples, as well as many different bottles and nipple shapes. This is why every mother is correct when she tells you the bottle and nipple, that's the best, because it is the best for her baby. So, where do you start? Well, learning how to provide upright and paced bottle feeding is a great place to start. Whatever bottle and nipple you choose, your baby will do best when he is placed in an upright position. I see some babies being held in such a way that their eyes and belly button are facing the ceiling, and the bottle is being held in a vertical position. Once baby partially opens their mouth and nipple is placed in the baby's mouth, even the slowest flow, the milk is going to come into your baby's mouth with relative ease and very quickly, and very little work on their part. The flow will be really fast when they're laying in this position, and they will have to gulp, gulp, gulp to keep up with the flow. I usually say this is like going to one of those all-you-can-eat restaurants like the country buffet. You're just piling the food on and shoveling it in really fast. The tendency is to eat a large volume and eat very fast. This happens a lot. Because of this, the tendency to overeat is very strong, and you don't realize until a little bit later how full you are. So, sit your baby upright, similar to how you would be sitting if you were drinking from a cup or a water bottle. And wait for your baby to open nice and wide to give you those feeding cues so that they can receive the food. Wait for your baby to draw the nipple into their mouth rather than pushing it past their lips. You want to keep the bottle in a mostly horizontal position. Place the bottle in your baby's mouth, having just enough milk filling the teat. You may have to tilt the bottle or your baby just a little bit as the volume gets way low, but this will typically happen at the end of the feeding and will be for a very short period of time. While not the same thing, this helps your baby to have more of a suck, swallow, breathe pattern like they do at the breast. Now comes the pace part of the feeding. Particularly with newborns and infants, it is very helpful for the person feeding the bottle to be looking for your baby's natural pause and then pace the feeding for the baby, as your baby may not do this on their own. You see the baby at the breast. The baby paces on his own, sucks when he wants to get the milk, swallows what he took in, and breathes in between. With the bottle, the milk flows so easily, there's frequently no time for natural pacing. So you need to do that for them. You want to start off by watching your baby closely and see if you can tell when your baby would naturally be taking a break. And if you see that pause, remove the bottle from his mouth or tilt the bottle down so the milk stops flowing. When your baby makes a motion to begin sucking again, tilt the bottle back up or place the bottle back in his mouth. I'm a fan more of tilting the bottle so the milk flows away from the nipple, and this is how I like to pause the feeding. However, some babies, man, they just guzzle so voraciously and quickly. I find that I need to take the bottle out of their mouth, sit them upright, and give them a minute or two before offering the bottle again. Otherwise, they will suck down 3 or 4 ounces in 10 minutes or less flat. Halfway through a feeding is a nice time to offer a break, a burp, and then switch sides, similar to what usually happens at the breast. You will find links to this information and some videos to help support upright and paced feeding in the show notes. Now let's talk about bottles. Which bottles? Well, you want to choose a nipple that has a wide base that slopes gradually toward the nipple. A nipple that has the slowest flow, and start with that one. You want to try a short nipple because most women's nipples are short. You want to choose a round nipple because it's preferred rather than ones that have flattened tips or sloped tips. And you want to look for ones that have a soft, thin material that is easily compressible. The nipple that has a wide base versus no or small base is least like a breast, and there is not much to help your baby keep their mouth open wide while sucking. The nipple that has the slowest rate, as this helps to minimize baby's expectations at the breast. Some bottle companies have the packages marked slow flow or say newborn, but you'll have to spend some money to check out the different ones. Some that say slow flow, man, I turn that bottle upside down and the milk just heavily drips out without any compression on it whatsoever. While some moms have nipples that are longer than average, shorter ones are the norm. So this is the best place to start. That's why the recommendation to start with a short nipple. Unless, of course, yours are much longer than the average and that is what your baby's used to. Same thing goes for the shape. Most nipples are rounder and few have a flat tip to them. In the absence of knowing if your baby has any allergies, as far as what they're made of, there seems to be the potential for more allergies to latex, so silicone is the preferred one to start with. You may be wondering why or be frustrated that I'm not mentioning bottle and nipple companies. I have been in IBCLC for a long time, and the pump companies change their models and the bottle and nipple companies change their styles and shapes. I could give you one brand today, and 6 months from now, that same company is not making a wide base slow flow nipple anymore. Or the one that I really liked that was truly slow flow is no longer. This is why I have you thinking in terms of the size and shape and material and flow rather than a specific brand. If you go to the show notes though, I will have a few pictures of the differences between a wide-based and a little to no-based nipple so you can see the difference. As with many things with babies, some take to the bottle real easy and show little preference, and other babies are more picky about which nipple they use, and other little cutie pies are pretty darn stubborn about not taking the bottle. If your baby has no oral or sucking issues, it is likely that with some work and dedication and consistency, they will take the bottle. Of course, if you're really struggling, you know what my advice is going to be. I would advise seeking the assistance of an IBCLC who can help you figure it out. The information gained will be valuable, particularly if your baby absolutely, no matter what you do, refuses to take the bottle. Your IBCLC can give you some really good information on how to work around this. Let's think about your caregiver. Whoever will be caring for your baby while you're gone will need to know this information that you're learning today. The key points you will need to know and want your caregiver to know is, number 1, it is recommended that you begin offering your baby a bottle at least 1 week before you return to work, and perhaps this can be your baby's caregiver doing this. This will give you an idea of how much milk your baby averages per feeding. If your baby is very young, less than a few weeks, it is quite likely that your baby will gradually want more per feeding until he has worked his way up between 3 to 4 ounces. Older babies, they may have a pretty well-established volume of milk that they're interested in taking. But usually, while some babies may take less per feeding and some take more, 3 to 4 ounces, it's helpful to know that's about average. It is important for your caregiver to not feed your baby on a schedule and to wait for your baby to show signs of hunger. This might seem common sense to you, but some of the larger daycare centers run on a schedule and may want to put your baby on a schedule. You will want to be sure they understand upright and paced feeding. Although some caregivers, they like to practice what I call the clean plate club and work hard to encourage your baby to take the full bottle. At the breast, your baby's in charge. They control not only the flow but the volume. You want this to continue with the bottle. If your baby gets milk too fast, this can be a setup for major breastfeeding difficulties. The result will be that your baby will want a lot more food at a much quicker rate. Since it is not going to happen when you're breastfeeding, it makes the transition between bottle and breast more difficult. It's not the bottle so much that makes the transition between breast and bottle difficult. It's the flow and the pace and the volume of the feeds that can frustrate your baby when going from breast to bottle. If your daycare provider is telling you that your baby is wanting quite a bit more milk than you've been pumping and that you think he should be having, or that you find out that when he's with you that he's taking, the first thing I would do is review with your care provider how they are using the bottle, what they're doing for bottle feeding techniques. It is real easy to overfeed babies with bottles, and then they start wanting more than they would naturally take at the breast. This is a setup for great stress for mothers when you realize you just can't pump enough to satisfy your baby's needs while they're at daycare. I encourage you to give yourself about a week at home before you return to work and experiment when home with your baby. Offer upright paced feeding with pauses and breaks for burping, and see how long it takes your baby and the volume that they need in order to appear full. You're likely to find that your baby is quite happy with less when they are taking in the milk in a steady but leisurely fashion with breaks. There's always so much to know. My hope is that I've narrowed down things for you and given you enough tips to get you started. The real learning is on the job. So once you've returned to work or school, you're going to begin to get feedback from your caregivers who are regularly giving your baby the bottle. And they're going to be telling you how your baby is doing with the bottle, the volume, the temperature. It won't take long until you find out what works best for your baby. Next week is part 4, where we're going to talk about tips and tricks to help you navigate pumping in the workplace. Until then, bye-bye.